Hi, this is Phoebe Blamey, and welcome to the Happy Money Journey podcast for today. I'm really excited to have you here. I have spent most of my life working in financial services. I'm a qualified financial planner and I have my own mortgage broking business since 2006. I know that as a busy woman, it's really hard to get your life into some sort of shape. And so I'm here to help you on your own happy money journey. And welcome to our week. Okay, so today I am going to talk about pets because I came across an article the other day that I thought was quite interesting. We spend, as Australians, $3,218 a year on our dogs or $1,715 on our cats. So I was thinking that's a lot of money, and that's just our day-to-day maintenance of our dogs and cats. It's not saving them from an uncertain fate. It's not the cost of buying a pet. It's just the day-to-day. So food, worming tablets, vet visits, all the things that we buy for our pets. And we can be a bit crazy about our pets. I get that. We can go wild with, accessories and dog costumes and all that sort of stuff, particularly if, like me, you've got a little dog. I try not to do that. And also, when I was having a look at all this stuff, I started thinking about pet insurance and whether pet insurance was worth it, because only 27% of Australians have pet insurance, and most of us don't have a high-earning pet. So a high-earning pet, grumpy cat, $99 million is worth. I cannot believe that. So most of us don't have a $99 million cat. So food and grooming and vets are probably the most expensive ongoing costs. So I don't have a grooming hat, but if anyone thinks of one, just write in. You can brush your dog's teeth. I would suggest conditioning to this when they were young so that you don't go into a fully grown animal's mouth and they bite you or something. So not advice, remember, just education here. So food and grooming and vets are probably the most expensive ongoing costs. I don't have big grooming hats. I know that there are plenty of people out there that do their own grooming. I've got a Westie. I generally take her to the groomers because I think if I tried to do it myself, it would be an absolute disaster. I do brush her teeth, though. And toothbrushing your dogs, you have to condition them from when they're very young. But if you can get away with doing that, that can save you hundreds of dollars on having their teeth brushed later in life. When it comes to dog food, I met a woman years ago who told me that the reason that her pets had lasted for so long, I think she had 2 dogs and they were about 18 years old, was that she cooks their food. So I had a little investigation into this because the fresh food at the vets is probably about $36 a box. It lasts for maybe a week, maybe 2, and that's fresh food that's been frozen that you have to defrost and then feed the dog. An average dog food can was about $3.99, probably lasts about 2 days. And my local butcher is selling pet mince at $3.99 a kilo. $3.99 a kilo. I had a dog with tummy issues, so I've been around the fresh food situation with dogs before. And I think for some of you, this could be a game changer because it is expensive to buy dog food. We don't know what's in our tinned food. We don't know what's in our dry food. So having the fresh food, it's like having fresh food for yourself, probably nourishing. There's some recipes online. I will share one with you in the show notes. It will be a game changer. And also doing it myself, it hardly takes any time. It's not a hard thing. Next big thing is vet's bills and regular checkups, injections, all of those things at the vets can be very expensive. Obviously, a lot of them are necessary and they're part of owning a pet. But did you know that there's a few online services? So Vet Chat, Pet Circle. Some vets offer a smaller and cheaper service for online services. And that as well could be something that's worth considering. One of them was a subscription service, and I haven't used it, so I can't speak to it, but it looked like a really, really good idea. I found myself spending a lot of money when my dog Buffy got sick during COVID, and it didn't end well. It was very sad. She had mild pancreatitis. They found a small hole in her intestine. They went to operate, they were able to fix it, everything should have been fine. The vet came out, she's a young dog, she was 12 at the time, and she's going to be fine. We expect her to make a full recovery, and she just didn't. And it broke my heart. It was during COVID. I was in Melbourne. It was all a little crazy, and I probably hung on to hope for longer than might have been reasonable, and I spent a lot of time at the animal hospital and at the vets. She was in overnight care, she was in 24-hour care, and I spent just under $10,000 on her care. And like 73% of Australian pet owners, I had chosen to self-insure. I hadn't actually got pet insurance, and I'd taken the responsibility on myself. So I had some money. I had it in various places. I had raise investments. I had ETFs. I had stuff that I could get my hands on, not super quickly, but within a few days. And I think when we think of an emergency, we think of needing to get the cash in that second. But possibly most emergencies, we might have a few days to be able to sort ourselves out. And that's all you need with some of these online investments. It's just a couple of days to sell them and get your money back. At the vet hospital, there's a heap of signs for the buy now, pay later pet care. And I know I was watching people while I was there get into debt to save their pets. It's emotionally fraught time. I know myself, I went too far, I went too long. It's really emotional. You just want to save your animal. They're part of our lives and they bring us so much joy and happiness, and they can't tell us what's wrong. So I decided that the pet insurance hadn't been worth it and it was just going to rip us off like most Australians. And we know that insurance companies, and particularly if you've got health insurance, I think with health insurance, there's always a lot of out-of-pockets. Its coverage can be quite low. So the urban myth that pet insurance won't cover your pets because everything's excluded is something that really resonates. So if you don't have pet insurance now and you're thinking about it, really consider it. I spent quite a lot on Buffy, as I just said, but the pet insurance quote was about $45 to $94 a month, and the coverage seemed really, really good. So it could be worth investigating for your pet. I did do the maths, however. So presuming that I had her from when she was a puppy, about 12 weeks old, she didn't have any illnesses, the pet insurance, as I said, would cost $45 to $94. So say on the lower end of that, in her 12 years lifetime would have cost me $13,536, with me paying the first 20% of claims and the insurance company spending 80%. So assume that for Buffy's care, and they would have paid out $8,000 of that $10,000 that I spent, but I've spent $13,536 on the insurance, so I'm basically $5,536 out of pocket. Would the situation have been worth it? Probably not for me. Carrying around those urban myths like I am, I keep thinking that pet insurance isn't worth it, but like I said, when I did the research, it actually covers a lot. But still in a better position than had I chosen to borrow at 2 or 3 or 4%. When it comes to money and emotions, we really can lose sight of what we need to be doing. So I'd hazard a guess that if we don't have pet insurance, we might be a bit more conservative with pet insurance. We need to have an emergency fund. When it's something that we're very vulnerable about, like a pet, it's very easy to let down some of our boundaries around money. So I think the 2 lessons that came out of that experience for me was that it was really good to use my emergency funds, and it was really wonderful that I had them available. But also that I needed to create boundaries around when things needed to stop. If you're self-insuring, you need to make sure you've got the money there, because it was really tough watching people fill out these forms to borrow money to save their pet and knowing how much that's going to cost them over time. It's a tough one. It really is with our pets. So in the end, that $45 a week could have been absolutely worth it for me, because it also would have made the whole situation quite different, because the insurers would have been deciding what they were going to cover and what they weren't going to cover and when was enough. Like maybe that I wouldn't have spent all that money in the first place. So all worth considering. Have a look around pet insurance if that's something that you think might be worth it. Have a look for some trainee groomers because, like trainee hairdressers, we might be able to get a discount on grooming. If you find anyone, let me know. Brush their teeth. Cook their food rather than buy it. It's healthier, and the butchers all sell pet meat. And if you're going to self-insure, make sure you've got a very big emergency fund because pet care in an emergency can be really high. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Thank you for being part of our community, and absolutely, as always, enjoy your journey. I will speak to you again next week.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we live and work, and pay our respects to the ancestors and elders, past, present, and emerging. We are grateful and honoured to live on this land and pay homage to the traditions of storytelling, communities, and the connection to land. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Disclaimer. Just a reminder that the advice that's contained in this podcast is general in nature. It doesn't take into account your individual needs and circumstances, and we recommend considering the appropriateness of any advice to your individual circumstances and needs. We always recommend seeking the advice of an expert before making any financial decisions.